Yeah, that's kind of what I said.
What's going on? What's going on, Kenny?
A lot's going on. It's a wonderful day.
Yeah.
Incredible day in history. I know you have a lot
Big-
to talk about today.
big day.
I was looking forward to this since we ended last week, knowing that the NFL was going to have some incredible games, and they all were. And I realized that this day, Monday, was going to be an eventful day overall for the country. And I knew that there was a lot of symbolism behind it. I knew you were going to
Yep.
be prepared to talk about it.
Yep. Very, first of all, in the sports world, it's a very big day. Right? I think there's a lot to talk about what happened yesterday in the playoffs. What happened in sports world in New York with the Nets making a trade, some Kyrie Irving stuff. So, yeah, we're going to take calls. The number to call is 845-366-2095.
Oh, man, do you have a pen?
Oh, I got a pen. Come on now.
Borrow that pen.
All right.
Thanks.
I'll give that number again.
Yeah, one more time so I can write it down.
That number to call in is 845-366-2095.
Awesome.
If we're talking about something and you want to jump in, don't hesitate to call the show. Let's get some callers in here. You know, everybody's got an opinion. It's time to put your money where your mouth is.
Hey, how's your workout regimen going? Last week, it was your first day or first week
Yeah.
in the gym
Yeah.
during the new year of 2021. I know that you were running, starting to lift, and you were running inside and walking outside. It was exciting. And so how's that been going for the week?
I didn't go today. I didn't go to the gym today, but I went 3 days last week. Went through with Jake. Didn't go today because I mean my ass was killing me. I gotta be honest. Just my sciatica, I guess they would say. Sound like my mother now. Pushing down, like my whole leg was just killing me. So I didn't go to the gym. I dropped Jake off at the gym, but I'll probably go to Dietz tomorrow, run the stairs, get back into it.
Do you
but
think you were overdoing it? And so for working out that first week, maybe you're just sore and you have to work through that?
Well, I think just moving and going to the gym is overdoing it when you haven't done it in a decade and a half.
Has it been that long?
It's been forever.
I never could notice that.
Yeah. So it's been a very long time. So yeah, I was in pain. The struggle. Like a real struggle. I will say, I feel a lot better when I bring the garbage cans down to the end of the road and have to walk back up my driveway. Like I'm not winded. Like I don't feel bad. I actually feel pretty good. And even just going on the treadmill for a little bit, just I feel so much better. Just leaps and bounds, huge strides I'm making. So I want to kind of start off, Kenny, if you don't mind. It's Martin Luther King Day. Throughout college basketball, I watched some college basketball today. St. John's actually got a big victory against UConn. That's a top 25 team. It's a good win for them just simply because I've watched them all year and they're frustrating coming into the game at 7-7, and they've been in a lot of those games. They've been competitive. They've been winning, and they've had to battle from behind to end up just losing the game. And the reason that they won this game is because they limited their mistakes. So it's a big win by St. John's. But that's not what I want to talk about right now. So a lot of the tributes are going on about Martin Luther King Jr. on his day today, and we all know, what he's meant in society. But I wanted to talk about, in a sports sense, I kind of just wanted to talk about two athletes, African-American athletes that I did on my podcast a while back. They were actually on my most underrated athletes list. And one of them I'd like to bring up is Larry Doby. I don't know if you know who Larry Doby is. A lot of you are going to know who Larry Doby is. Most of you won't know the second one. And The first one is Larry Doby. So Larry Doby, he was the second player to break the color barrier. He was the first African American to play in the American League, and it was only 3 months after Jackie Robinson. Right, so after Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier, Larry Doby was the second African American player, but he was the first in the American League. And the reason that I like to bring this up, and he put together a Hall of Fame career. He was a great player, but not a lot of people know about him because he was the second. And I wouldn't even really say he was the second. I would actually call him 1A, simply because being in the American League, they didn't have interleague back then. So he caught all the same shit and hate and the vitriol and the vile sayings and all those terrible things that Jackie Robinson went through. He went through also. He just went through it in the American League. That was the first time that fans in the American League ballparks were seeing an African American player. So it was it's almost like he was, kind of living what Jackie Robinson did only 3 months later. And he was actually the first African American player to go straight to the major leagues. He didn't go to the minor leagues. He signed, won a championship, I believe, in the Negro Leagues the year before, signed and went right to the major leagues for the Cleveland Indians. And the first African American to win a World Series with the Indians. Him and Satchel Paige actually were on the same team. There's a little baseball history for you. The second is Althea Gibson. Althea Gibson was a tennis player back in the mid-50s. She's an African-American female tennis player. She was one of the greatest tennis players, actually, back in the day. First African-American to win a Grand Slam. She won the French Open first. The following year, she won the U.S. National, which is now the U.S. Open, and she won Wimbledon. She's won 10 Grand Slams altogether, 5 as a single player, 5 as a doubles. What's remarkable about this is that after she was done playing tennis, she went and played golf. And she went and played on the LPGA Tour in the early 60s. She was a top 50 money winner, I believe, for 5 years. But she never made over $25,000. And the reason I bring her up is because the amount of just racism, and she battled, being a tennis player and then going to the LPGA and being successful there. I read a little bit about her in a book she wrote, and she said that she wasn't able to, for a lot of the golf tournaments, she had to change in her car. She wasn't allowed into the locker rooms because of the segregation. So these people have accomplished great things, massive amounts of success, while facing, and let's be honest, just 10 times probably the amount of hatred. Back in that day, we're talking very, very, very bad things said to these people, the way they were treated. And I think it's notable to bring up, especially Althea Gibson, simply because it wasn't a team sport. She was by herself, right? There was no, Jackie Robinson had Pee Wee Reese and a few guys on the Dodgers he could lean on, right? Althea Gibson could not blame anybody if she didn't win. She couldn't blame a teammate. She couldn't take a day off, right? That's it. Like tennis and golf, that's you. And to kind of do what she did at that time, under those circumstances, I think people should know about her a little more.
People of color from 1950s, 1960s truly set the way. They paved the way for the more open participation that we have now, for sure. And what you're describing is incredible, and I feel ignorant because I did not know of Althea Gibson before tonight. Maybe it's because I'm not into tennis and I'm not into golf, but that's not an excuse, because as a woman of color, for the things you've described, it is an incredible feat to have been able to broken that color barrier, in a sense, to become a major participant in a national sport, particularly one that's individual. So I think it's really, it's important that you shared that story of Althea Gibson and, of course, Larry Doby.
Yeah, I don't bring it up so people feel bad or or
it's
make
not
me
about
think
feeling bad.
that I have
it's
some
a great
like,
story.
You know, this high knowledge. But I think they're two people that Larry Doby, I don't think gets. I don't want to say the credit that he deserves, but I mean, I think people should know about him more just because, again, American League, first time those people were seeing an African-American player. So we all know Jackie Robinson, the Jackie Robinson story, which is great. But I think, you know, people should know a little bit more about, you know, others like Larry Doby. And I mean, people know who he is. It's not like somebody that he's so obscure in the baseball world. He died in, I think, like 2007 or something. And I think Althea Gibson passed away in 2003. But I think Althea Gibson, I think it's just a good story, you know? I think it's a great story. So. One more fact that I don't know if you know this. One you'll know, well, it'll be obvious, and the other one I don't think anybody probably knows. The Boston Red Sox, the last team to integrate. Not surprising.
Why do you say not surprising?
Because Boston has a history of being back in the day, kind of had, especially in sports, a racist undertone in their city. And Tom Yawkey, who was the owner of the Red Sox, was a racist. That's why they're trying to get Yawkey way off, and they're trying to change a lot of things just because of his overt racism back in the day. So the Red Sox were the last team to integrate.
But I gotta tell you, I find that really interesting. Again, I don't know much about the history of baseball, but just in terms of history, the stereotype, which isn't something we should believe in, but stereotypically, I would have thought it would have been a team from the South historically that would have been last. That's
well,
really
you have to think about it though. What teams were from the South? Back then, baseball was pretty much regional to the Northeast, right? I mean, the Dodgers weren't even in LA yet. The Giants were still in New York. There wasn't really anything out in California. I think the farthest out you went was St. Louis. There was no teams in Florida. There were no Texas Rangers or Houston Astros. Everything was Northeast and Midwest. I'm sure if there was a team from the South, that probably would have been the case, but potentially. But, you know, I mean, just ask NBA players. Just ask some of the NBA players of the things that are screamed to them from the seats when they go to Boston and play. Brutal. Still, today, 2020, 2021. Yeah. Bad.
That's hard to believe. That's really hard to believe. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying that's
it's hard to believe.
It's hard to say. It's hard to swallow.
It's not you don't believe. It's that it's hard to believe that something like that. It's insane that something like that would still be happening. But anyway, so the Red Sox were the last team. The Boston Bruins actually integrated before the Red Sox, which is very surprising to me. The National Hockey League Boston team, the Boston Bruins, had a black African-American player before the Red Sox did. Found it interesting.
I think that's really interesting. But again, I don't know how many other hockey teams there were back then. What year are you talking about, approximately?
I want to say 59. Do I have it written down? 59, 60? I don't know. 59, 61, something like that. Yeah. I mean, you could look it up.
I think I might.
I want to say it was 1959 that the Red Sox. It was I believe it was the Red Sox, and then just prior to that was the Detroit Tigers, were the second to last team to integrate.
As far as hockey, it was 1958.
Yep.
Hockey player Willie O'Ree.
Yep.
The Boston Bruins.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I wouldn't lie to you, Kenny. I wouldn't lie to the people out there.
I don't know about that.
Yeah. I absolutely would. Not even a question.
Oh man.
So what do you want to start with first?
Well, I want to start.
You want to start with the NFL?
No, I want to start with the Constitution. Just kidding.
Oh,
just kidding.
The inauguration? Is that what you want to talk about?
Yeah, I want to start with the inauguration. How people are preparing for it, and
the caravan that I'm saying.
I know people are taking off from work. I have friends
really
that are taking off from work just to be able to watch what could be a debacle and hopefully not be.
Yeah, no, I hope everything just please let everything go smoothly. Like, just don't do anything dumb.
But
And that goes for everybody.
Did just hear on the news how some folks are basically saying, hopefully with the inauguration, we'll have less divisiveness. We have a new president, and things will improve, and I look forward to that as well.
I don't know if a
Looking
new
at things
I don't know
with
if
the glass half full instead of half empty.
yeah, I don't know if a new president coming in is going to change the way people think in this country overnight, especially about race. If that's the divisiveness that we're talking about. Unfortunately.
That's a really interesting point because I didn't get to watch the news, 8 hours today, but from what I did watch on the news and watch on television, I saw very little in the mainstream media about today's holiday. I don't know if you saw much, but it seemed as though the mainstream political media, whether it was on both sides of the spectrum, they were just doing business as usual, knocking each other down, instead of discussing this holiday as much as they should have been for all that it's worth, especially based upon the comment you just made, which is you're not seeing a change in the divisiveness, especially on race issues right now. And it almost seems like it's on the back burner, and that's not right. That's not right.
Yeah, because it's not salacious. And by the way, that is something that would actually bring more people together. But that's not what, in my opinion, that's not what they want. That doesn't help ratings.
No.
It doesn't help eyeballs.
Right.
It doesn't put eyeballs on the TV. It doesn't make anybody any money. And that's what it's about. You're kidding yourself if you're not being honest if you don't think it is. I mean, come on.
Yeah. So, moving on to...
I want to talk about the Nets real quick before I get into the NFL. Before we get into the NFL, we're going to go into the NFL. We're going to talk about all the games.
I want to talk about Nets. What's with the Nets?
What's with the Nets?
What's with the Nets, Nick?
All right, so the Nets make this trade. First of all, you have Kyrie Irving.
What happened to him?
He just left. He left the team.
That was last week, though.
Huh?
That was last week.
Yes.
That he left.
But he left the team, and he was at a birthday party, and he was on a political podcast, what the hell is that called? A Zoom meeting with the lady from Sex and the City who ran for governor of New York,
right.
while the Nets were playing. So while the Nets were playing, he leaves because he didn't like what happened at the Capitol. And again, I'm not listen, I'm not going to tell people how they should feel or react to something like that.
I think we talked about this last week, and that he's going to wind up losing $400,000 to $800,000
yes.
For not playing for a day or a week. So has anything happened since he has not been on the court?
Well, now they trade and get James Harden.
They didn't trade for Kyrie Irving, though.
No, but they traded now and they get James Harden. Now Kyrie Irving's going to come running back because now they're even more formidable, so he'll come back and play. But now I feel you have two quitters, right? Listen, James Harden makes the Nets ultimately better, right? They're going to win games. They're already a contender. This makes them even a little bit more of a contender, but it's not going to help him on defense. And who knows if he's one day going to end up going, I don't like it here. Get me out of here. Right? Is him and Kyrie Irving going to be a problem together? Is Kevin Durant going to be able to right this ship and steer it in the right direction? Because James Harden also has a problem with just not putting in the effort also. A reputation. So my issue is, and I think the Nets they had to sign James Harden just because I think they needed another leader kind of in that locker room because Kyrie can't do that now. You can't ask everybody to jump on your back and put in the effort and the sacrifice when you left.
Now, though, you have three big names, Durant, Harden, and Irving.
Well, I mean, the argument is there's only one ball, right? There's only one ball to go around. I don't think that's really going to be a problem. I think they'll figure it out. I think there's too much talent there. They'll win games. But I don't know. I think, and I don't know how much James Harden has left on his deal, but I mean they'll probably go to the conference championship.
When does James Harden start playing for the Nets?
He played already.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
It shows you what I know. I don't watch
Yeah.
the
No,
basketball.
he played. They won. He had 32 points. Durant had 40 some, and Kyrie wasn't there. I mean, I tried. Our people called out to get him on here, but he wouldn't come on.
Look, maybe the Knicks players will come on. They just beat down on the Celtics, I heard.
Yeah, they put a good beating on them.
The Celtics are supposed to be a formidable team
Yes.
as well.
And the Knicks are going to be, at the end of the day, they're going to be a mediocre team at best. They're not going to
Can they
be
get the 8th spot in the playoffs?
in the East, yeah,
Okay. That's good.
because you don't even have to be 500.
Yeah, basketball.
You don't even have to have a winning
Basketball's
record.
very diluted.
I mean, it's ridiculous. And it's the same thing with hockey, right? Like you don't need to be a great hockey player.
Dude, we're 20 minutes in,
Yeah.
and you're telling me we haven't talked about big football games yet.
We're getting to it right now.
In the order in which they were played, what was first? It was the Cleveland, Kansas City, or was it Baltimore, Buffalo first?
I don't have any comments up. There's no comments.
Well, maybe we don't have a lot of people watching.
No, I mean I don't have it. It doesn't. Usually something comes up on the side, but it doesn't.
Just click on your comment bar.
No.
You click on your comment bar. But today it's only about 8 people out there.
People must be celebrating Martin Luther King Day.
That's right.
I don't know. I'll tell you what, if they missed the beginning, they'll have to go back and watch.
There we are.
It's very interesting because, well, anyway. Let's talk about the football games.
Yes, let's talk about football.
You want to start the Rams and the Packers?
That's what you want to go
Rams
with
and the
first?
Packers?
All right, Rams.
Okay.
Rams and Packers.
The Packers are probably the most complete team I've seen all weekend. More complete than Kansas City before Mahomes went out. Just an all-around better team. They have a better offensive line with their best offensive lineman out. They still have the best offensive line I've seen all weekend. What's his name? Bakhtiari? Bakhtiari. He's out. He protects Aaron's blind side. And I don't know what much else there is to say. The Rams have a great defense. Aaron Rodgers they're just that much better. The Packers are like a machine right now. I don't know who's going to beat them. Who are you putting up here, Kenny?
I'm trying to look for
Who is that?
things to watch, but it doesn't look like I'm.
Things to watch.
Stuff. I'm trying to
hell?
pull up divisional playoff.
Let's see.
information
Best
for you
stocks
guys.
to double your money. What else we got?
Listen, we're looking for the right stuff. There we go.
Anyway. No, nobody's. I don't. Look, I want Tampa. I want Tom Brady to win the Super Bowl. I don't think he's going to go into Green Bay and win. Green Bay looks too good. Green Bay's my pick to win it all, as of right now. Actually, they're my pick as of right now and moving forward. Obviously, unless they lose to Tampa Bay after that, but Green Bay's my pick. Kansas City can't compete with them. What do you think about the great gunslinger, Aaron Rodgers? You
Look,
watch the game?
he's having. Of course, I watched the game. He's having a great year. I think that he makes all the throws. He can throw the out. He can throw it deep. He throws it vertical. He throws it horizontal. He can run the ball. He has protection. He has weapons. But he got beat by Tampa Bay once this year. He's certainly capable of being beat again. And I don't know that they were really on fire going into the playoffs, in as much as Tampa Bay is on a roll. So I would like Tampa Bay to win for the same reasons you have wanted Tampa Bay to win, which really is the story.
What about?
The story of Tom Brady.
Yeah. So there's not really much to talk about with that game. The Packers. I mean, it was just really they just dominated the Rams. And Jared Goff. Actually, I heard this. They interviewed the head coach there of the Rams, and Goff. He didn't commit to Goff being the quarterback moving forward. He put, it was the old, this is, everybody's under evaluation, blah 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 blah.
Right?
I mean, Jared Goff has a shit ton of. I think he's got like 4 years left on his deal. He's got like over $100 million left. $100 million. Like, he's not going anywhere.
Right.
But not committing, I think I think it sends sort of a message. I mean, the guy did have a broken thumb.
I didn't think he played badly.
I don't think he played too bad.
It's funny that both you and I don't really think that was a very eventful game.
No, the game sucked.
And yet then look at the Buffalo game, because the Buffalo-Baltimore game actually came down to the wire, didn't it? Didn't it come down to less than a touchdown?
Well, no. Well,
It wasn't a blowout.
no. What happened here in this game? It was 17-3. But what happened in this game is the only thing I really remember, to be
It was
honest,
a
here from
blowout.
this game,
Yeah, I don't even,
right, is how was the interception that Buffalo ran 101 yards back for a touchdown in the end zone when it was 3-3, I think it was. I'm not sure if it was 10-3 at that time. Whatever the score was, it was close. Baltimore's driving. He throws a terrible interception. He returns it all the way for a touchdown. And the only other thing I remember from this game is how terrible Baltimore was snapping the ball. Just a complete joke. They couldn't. When there was a good snap, it looked like Lamar Jackson had trouble handling it. Or the snaps just went right by him.
well, he certainly got smothered.
So
And he was-
and
he was
Buffalo's
pressured a
defense
lot.
and Buffalo's defense was great. I thought they were really good at containing. Yeah, I mean, he didn't really get to use his legs that much, and it was just kicking in this was brutal.
Yeah, their
Right.
kicker missed 2 in a row, right? He missed one
Yeah,
off
and
the
Buffalo
left
missed
upright.
one. I mean, it was just
He
windy.
missed another off the right upright.
The conditions just were not ideal. They were just not ideal. Yeah, it was just bad snaps and a touchdown pick for a pick for pick six, 101 yards though. So I mean, you got the Bills Mafia will be happy. They'll be going to Kansas City.
Right.
Like that play right there was crazy great containment. He had nowhere to go. He had to end up throwing the ball. And they really and a lot of their punts were just terrible. The wind knocked a lot of punts down. It was just brutal to play special teams in this game. Gave Buffalo good field position. The Ravens just got outplayed, right? They Buffalo was just prepared. That's all you can say.
Right. They pressured
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson, and
Yeah.
they didn't let him run the ball and made him throw it, and he couldn't beat them with his arm.
Yeah.
And Josh Allen's a big boy, and he did what he had to do to win.
And
the game.
Josh Allen's getting better and better, right? I think there was a knock on him early on. Well, he's not going to be that great. He lacks accuracy and all this other stuff. He's a big boy. He can run with the ball. He can run guys over. He's got a strong arm. Just limit the mistakes, just like any other game, any other quarterback.
Look,
Watch the
the game.
Browns?
The game. Oh, did I watch the Browns game?
Watch the Browns?
Of course, I watched the Browns game. That was a good game.
What do you think of the Cleveland Browns?
I think the Cleveland Browns could have won that game, should have won that game, but ultimately it's tough to get the ball back with, what was it, less than 6 minutes left, and say you got to score a touchdown. It's not that easy. It's just not that easy to score touchdowns. And yet, while I was watching that game after Mahomes was taken out of the game, it seemed like people were really taking that for granted. When I say that for granted, I mean as if it's easy to score a touchdown
Yeah.
against all the other guys on the field. Mahomes
They're getting
is-
paid too, right? Like that's what I always say. Look, that guy's getting paid too.
I mean, I understand Mahomes was out, and so the defense comes in. Browns still up. They can stop Chad Henne. They get the ball back, and okay, they've got the ball back. Doesn't mean they're going to march down the field in 5 minutes and score a touchdown, like that. It's hard, and they didn't. They didn't just march down the field. They wound up punting.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then Chad Henne did what he had to do, which was manage the game.
How do you let Chad Henne run for that? Towards the end of that game, how do you let him run for 9.5 yards on third down? And then that was the call at the end where Tony Romo was going crazy because they said they weren't going to run the play and just punt the ball, and then they end up running a play and throwing a pass to get the first down to ice the game,
Right.
which was incredible. 99% of the time, you're not snapping the ball there, right? Because if you don't get that, you give Cleveland good field position. But they were playing to win. And if you're going to get 9.5 yards with Chad Henne on third down, you can get a half a yard to get a first down.
Exactly. Look, first thing he does is he throws that bomb, and It was a pick, right? In the end zone?
Yeah, terrible.
I have no idea why in the world he threw that ball.
Yeah, that was terrible.
At that point, I thought the fix was in. He was purposely trying to lose the game because there was no reason to throw that ball deep at that time. But then, look, he's been in the league for over a decade, and he understands the game. He's not going to just freak out. They were making it sound as though the guy's never played the game before.
Yeah.
And he didn't do anything wrong. I wasn't so surprised that he was able to get 9.5 yards, given the defense that Cleveland was showing, and they thought he was going to pass. They didn't think he was going to run with his legs, and he basically gave it all that he had.
And by the way, I thought for sure that was a first down, and then when they went back and they slowed it down, I can't believe how accurate of a spot that actually was.
A great
by
spot.
The referees. Like, we give the refs, like, people give the refs a lot of shit. I'm telling you, sometimes it's unbelievable some of the things that they see. Sometimes how they see when guys are down at certain spots and how they're just so accurate with spotting the ball. I mean, we never talk about it, but holy good God.
I wonder if that game would have even have been as exciting to watch if Mahomes had not been hurt.
If Mahomes doesn't get hurt, I think they dice him up.
That's what I thought. I kind of thought they would have just been scoring at will, yet Cleveland was keeping it close. But every time Kansas City had the ball, I was under the impression they were going to score. Then Chad Henne comes in, and everybody goes, oh, my gosh, there's actually a game here, and Cleveland could pull this off, and this is unbelievable, but they just couldn't. They couldn't score. Next thing you know, the game's over, and I moved on to the game that really mattered.
Well, before you, did you see the head-to-head hit that they were talking about? When, I forgot who it was diving into the end zone.
I thought they reversed that call.
Well,
or am I getting it confused with a different game?
It was a fumble, and both players were diving. You could probably find it because it's a play that everybody was talking about. But it was a play where the running back for the Browns is going into the end zone, and a guy for the Chiefs is diving to stop him, and he goes in. Obviously, he's diving to try to stop him, so he hits him with his head. So it was helmet to helmet. So a lot of people were losing their minds that it was helmet to helmet. At the end of the day, you're never going to get that call just because two guys are diving, right? I understand he led with his head, but the ball goes out of bounds. He fumbles the ball into the end zone, and then the ball goes out of bounds. And the rule is you lose the ball. Right? Kansas City now gets possession.
So what happened?
So Kansas City gets the ball while Cleveland's driving. It totally changes the game. You shouldn't lose. You shouldn't lose the ball on that play. If you want to penalize a team because they fumbled it in the end zone and then it went out of bounds, then figure out a way to do it without losing the ball. Right? Like you lose possession. If you fumbled it out of bounds anywhere else, you wouldn't lose possession. If I fumbled it on the 40-yard line, the other team doesn't get the ball. So why, when you fumble it out of the end zone,
well, what's the mindset
you lose the ball?
Is that he's trying to advance the ball within the end zone so that one of his other teammates can get it? What's the rationale behind that?
I think if you fumble the ball, the only way you can advance it in the end zone is if the guy that fumbles it recovers it.
So why do you lose the ball?
I don't know why the rule is like that.
You not only
because you just killed the other team from you just killed the other team from potentially scoring.
How do you fumble a ball in the end zone anyway?
Well, you're going forward and you fumble it and it comes flying out and then you just goes out of bounds.
So what if you fumble it on the 2-yard line and it rolls into the end zone and then rolls out the back of the end zone? You've essentially fumbled it.
I don't know if I think that's a touchback. Is it a touchback or a safety?
Wow.
It goes out of the back of the end zone.
You better find out these rules.
Either way, it's stupid.
You need to find out the rule.
It should just go back to the team that had possession.
Where?
I don't know. I mean, do you want to throw a penalty? You want to give him a flag? It's a 10-yard penalty? Well, I mean, what's the penalty? The penalty shouldn't be losing the ball, though. And actually, it's funny. Colin Cowherd, I actually heard him say this today. If I lose my car keys and you find the keys, you should get a reward. You don't get to keep my car.
That is funny.
You get a reward. I get my car back. It's like fumbling the ball and it goes out of bounds in the end zone and I lose the ball. Terrible. It's terrible. There it is right there. Rewind.
Okay.
Now. Fuck now. Rewind that shit.
All right, let's see what we can do.
All right. Oh, I got to go back further.
So that other dude tried to jump
All
in.
right, so people are losing their minds, right? Because first, helmet to helmet. You're not going to be able to review helmet to helmet. If they don't throw it, you're never going to. So here, bang, boom, hits him helmet. Nobody even really saw that the first time around. And the ball gets fumbled before he crosses, because if he would have crossed, it would be a touchdown.
Now it's out
and
of
then it goes out of bounds.
So he had possession.
Had possession, fumbled it out of bounds. But since it's in the end zone,
They don't give him the touchdown? I don't believe that. That is crazy. The other team gets the ball on the 20-yard line. So why couldn't
Dumb.
they have just given him the ball on the 1 where he fumbled it?
that's a dumb rule.
He was
gotta
the
change-
last person with possession.
Yeah, they have to change the rule. I mean, it's simple as that. They just have to change the rule.
It's bad.
I'll call my people.
That's a bad job, Nick.
I'll call my people.
That's a
at the-
bad job.
I don't know, yeah, Mike.
That's a bad job. They need to do something about that.
Good afternoon, Mike, and how are you? Yeah, and look, with Holmes out, I think with Holmes out, if Patrick Mahomes would have went out earlier, Cleveland may win that game, but he didn't. And now moving forward, how does that affect? Like now he's in concussion protocol, right?
Right. That could be as little as.
But there's no timetable on that. It's how fast you can get through whatever metrics that they have. Are you now eating solid foods instead
It
of
did not look like
soup?
he had really been hit that hard. It was surprising
Yeah.
to me.
I read the average 21 quarterbacks in the protocol over a certain amount of time. The average was 7 days, which puts you right at the championship game.
He's going to get the play. What if he had COVID? Would they delay the game?
In the championship game?
Yeah. Would they delay the game if
Well-
one player had COVID?
Well, that's
Then
a
does
good
it
question.
depend
Now, here's the
on
thing.
Who the player is?
No. Well, depending on who the player is. No, I don't think in a playoff or a championship game. Now, the Super Bowl might be a different story. Right? What if let's say it's the Packers and the Chiefs. Half the Packers and Aaron Rodgers get COVID. What do they do?
Yeah, it depends on who it is, I guess.
Are they going to delay the Super Bowl?
I think they would delay the Super Bowl if you had half a team.
Aaron Rodgers, who's their running back? Harris?
I don't know.
Or I don't
I
know.
rely on you for that stuff.
They all get COVID. Are they putting them in a bubble? What are they doing?
They should.
The two teams should go into a bubble
Absolutely.
because then you're 2 weeks, right? You're 2 weeks into the Super Bowl. They play Sunday. Monday they should be in the bubble. Pack your shit, go in the bubble. Actually, you know what? Both teams have your shit packed. All your clothes, everything. Sunday night you go in the bubble. Don't mess around with this. You can't screw up the Super Bowl.
No. Don't want to screw up the Super Bowl.
I'll be mad.
Tampa.
Should Florida let just 60,000 people into Tampa Stadium?
Are they going to?
Just Super Bowl.
That's amazing. That's amazing if it's open. People just go watch the game. Good for them. Good for them. Enjoy life.
Yep.
Everybody makes decisions on their own.
Yep.
Tampa versus New Orleans. What a game. That was some game. That was by far the best of all the games to watch. 20
Tampa
to
and New
20.
Orleans. Yep.
Was it tied at the half? 13-13? Two epic quarterbacks.
It was interesting to watch two of the all-time greats where they are, at the stages that they are in their career. And this isn't, I mean, they were talking about it all day, all game. But to be, both of them being over 40 years old, first time that's ever happened. What I found is, I think the Bucks got a lot better in a very short amount of time, right? They struggled at points during the season, but I think when they needed to put it together, they put it together. And Drew Brees, I felt, got old quickly. Right?
That's certainly what they were saying. I couldn't tell. I just thought it was good defense. They made it sound like the guy can't throw the ball anymore. He couldn't make certain passes, that he couldn't go downfield.
I mean,
I didn't look at his throws and think, oh, he doesn't have anything on it. Did you?
I think he has trouble throwing the deep ball. I think I don't think he slowed down enough where you would be like, oh my God. But I think he slowed down enough to where it was noticeable. This doesn't hurt Drew Brees' legacy by any stretch. If he retires, he's one of the all-time greats. I don't think this game puts Tom Brady, his legacy, at another level
Not
either.
this game.
Just because even if Tom Brady lost this game, I don't think it hurts his legacy.
If he lost this game, it does not hurt his legacy. That's correct. However, winning this game only makes his legacy that much more awesome. And if he wins
Yes.
next week, again, if he loses next week, big deal. He made it to a championship and lost. His legacy isn't going to be affected. But when he wins next week,
If he wins next week,
and he's going to the Super Bowl in the NFC after he just comes here in his first year.
people's
and he makes-
heads will explode.
Yeah, it's amazing.
In the social media sports world, right? Because people they just do not want him to win. I want him to win. I want him to win the Super Bowl this year. If the Giants aren't in the playoffs next year, I want him in the Super Bowl next year. I want him to go out with, big middle fingers up to everybody that hated him. Be like, peace.
Yeah, what did he do this year that would make anyone dislike him? Nothing.
By the way, he went to a team. He went to a team that, yes, they have weapons, but those weapons weren't. I mean, let's be honest. Yesterday, they weren't. A lot of those guys weren't as much of a factor, right? Gronk wasn't a factor.
Well, the fact that they're on the field all at the same time makes them all a factor.
Well,
But I understand
Antonio
what you
Brown
mean.
got hurt.
Antonio Brown, his knee was injured. Gronk didn't catch those balls that people were saying he would have caught years ago. Godwin dropped. Was it Godwin who dropped that ball, that deep ball in the end zone, as well? That came right off his fingertips. But when I look at who they have, they have Mike Evans, right?
Yeah. No,
Godwin,
they have weapons.
Gronkowski, Leonard Fournette still has a lot in the tank.
Yeah. And the defense and their defense played a lot better, right?
Tom
Their
Brady-
defense played a hell of a
Tom
lot
Brady
better.
is no dummy. He went to a team that was playoff ready.
But it's safe
That
to
is
say.
smart.
But look, it's safe to say that he went to. I don't think. I think the Saints were a better team all year than Tampa Bay.
They had the better record.
Okay,
They
so
beat Tampa Bay twice,
so here's the thing with Tom Brady, and this is where Tom Brady went into New Orleans
which was a good situation.
with a lesser team, a lesser head coach than Sean Payton, right? Nobody's going to say Bruce Arians is a better head coach than Sean Payton, and won, and is now going to go to the end of his first NFC Championship game.
And look, let's not. I don't want to say. I like Tom Brady. I've always liked Tom Brady. But then again, playing devil's advocate, what did he throw for? He threw for under 200 yards. Threw a 3-yard touchdown. Had a 1-yard or 2-yard rush.
What's your point?
My point is, he also almost threw 2 picks that should have been picked off. He didn't have such a great game.
Greatest quarterback of all time.
Oh yes, of course. But he did not have a great game. He had a B plus. He had a B. He had a B. All right. What did he do that was special?
Well, I mean,
Nothing
it's hard to lose a game when the other team has turned the ball over 4 times and you didn't turn it over.
yeah,
Right, so there's 4 turnovers in that game by New Orleans.
it's hard to overcome that for sure.
I mean, it's almost impossible.
You almost felt bad for New Orleans, and even with those 4 turnovers, they were in the game.
Yeah.
the entire time. That game was so close.
I think
There's this feeling that you have when Drew Brees has the ball and when Tom Brady has the ball that you know they can score at any moment. There's that feeling of confidence that
Yeah.
you have. If you're a Tampa Bay fan, you're thinking, oh, Tom Brady has the ball. We're okay. Nothing bad is going to happen. Or when Drew Brees has the ball, you go, nothing bad is going to happen. And then on the opposite side, if you're the other team, all you're thinking of is Drew Brees going to just dice us up? Is Tom Brady just going to just dice us up? It's the worst feeling in the world when they're not on your team.
yeah.
You know, So watching them play last night and seeing the game so close for the entire game, I couldn't take my eyes off the game. It was great.
Yeah, it was
a
great
game.
theater. It was great theater, and if I mean.
Exactly. It's moving. The sound bar's moving.
Well, maybe it's
So
delayed.
now I think it went off. It was off for like 5 minutes, dude. Sound was off for about 5 minutes, and now the bar's moving.
So why? I wonder why that happens.
So anyone who just messaged us that we did not have sound, you should be hearing sound now. It's very interesting that the sound seems to always go off
back.
at a certain time.
It's back. All right.
I don't get it, man. No one heard all the fantastic things I
Oh
said about
man,
sports.
you missed the rage and the cursing that I just unleashed.
Yeah, it was incredible.
Oh,
That's rough.
Look, and here's what I've been seeing, right? So Tom Brady, now it's, was it Brady or was it Belichick? Was it Brady? Was it Belichick? Was it Brady or was it Belichick? Look, at the end of the day, it was both. Tom Brady hasn't won the Super Bowl yet. Okay, he beat the Saints in a playoff game. To sit here and now say, well, it was Brady and it was never Belichick, is insane to me. Do you think it was Brady or was it Belichick?
I think that Belichick puts together good ball players with a good scheme and a good system, and had the benefit of having good coaching and good players. It's not just the coach. You need the players. Belichick was terrible with the Browns 20 years ago, right?
Well, he won a playoff game.
Where, with the Browns?
Yes, he did.
I thought he was terrible. He never had a good reputation.
No, but he didn't have a good. I mean, he was only there for he wasn't there for that long.
And then he
went and he took him to the playoffs and he won a playoff game. And then he left and then went to the Jets with Parcells.
Football is not easy. He has no players.
Did he go? They went
in the AFC East right
Patriots.
Right.
System with the Patriots, and then. But it's both. Right, it's both.
Yeah.
You don't have that much success for that long, and it was just one of those guys. right? I mean, you went. This is going to be his 14th. What is it? His 14th championship game.
14th championship game. It's incredible.
14th.
It'll be his 10th.
He's been in
Super
9
Bowl.
Super Bowls. He's won 9 conference championship games, and people are going to argue that he's not the greatest of all time. You won 9 conference championship games. You won 6 Super Bowls, and you're going to sit here and you're going to argue that he's not the greatest quarterback of all time. Look, if you want to say, well, it's a team sport, and I don't put Super Bowls. I don't count the amount of Super Bowls, right? If you won a Super Bowl or not, I don't weigh it as much as maybe a lot of other people do. But I think the amount of winning matters. And when you've won 6 Super Bowls and you've been, like, people say, well, he played in a shitty division. He played in a bad division. Okay, well, once you go to the playoffs, you're not playing in the division anymore. You're playing the best from the league, best from the conference. And you went to 14 conference championships and won 9 of them. So the AFC East doesn't matter then.
I'm still in awe that he went to Tampa and was able to put together what he did with that team, a good team, get everybody to gel, and wind up going to the playoffs. I never thought they were going to beat New Orleans after they got spanked by them those first 2 games.
And they struggled with Washington.
I thought so.
Different type of team, different defense, but still.
And now I'm thinking they're going to beat the Packers. Tom Brady can play in cold weather. I don't know if the rest of his team can.
I mean, I think guys will be able to play in cold weather. Tom Brady obviously can play in cold weather, right? And if you're comparing Breeze and you're comparing Brady all time, Breeze has played most of his games either in warm weather or inside, right? Tom Brady's played most of his games in New England. He had to go to the Jets. He'd go to Buffalo, and then he'd get that one game down in Miami against normally what was a shitty Dolphins team, But, I mean, to say the Super Bowls don't matter when we're talking all-time greats is eliminating a category that you can't just eliminate categories that help your discussion, right? That kind of help your cause. You can't just take away you can't say, hey, take away the Super Bowls and take away the yards thrown, take away, you know what I mean? Take away this, that, and the other thing. You can't take shit away. You can't start taking things away.
And what do you think's going to happen?
Super Bowls.
Let me just change the topic for a minute. We're going on 52 minutes. We usually
Crazy.
stop at about the hour mark, and let's put some local stuff into the show for a moment. What is your understanding as to the local sports in our high school that are going to go forward now in January, February, March? This will be called winter. It's not basketball. What's your understanding? What's starting tomorrow? Our kids go back to school tomorrow.
I'm going to be honest. I don't have an understanding of it at all.
I heard things like skiing, swim, track. I don't know what else. I thought maybe volleyball, but I don't know.
Well, what track? Indoor track?
Indoor track. So they're going to
And swim?
and swim.
So you can have swim and indoor track, but you can't have basketball. No basketball. Too much contact?
Right, I'm guessing it's too much contact.
Does COVID travel in water?
I don't know, man, but I guess they won't
Because
have people-
I'm swimming in the lane.
You're not going to have people watch, right?
What the hell does that matter? You're swimming with somebody next to you.
Well, they're in the pool. They're not breathing on you, right?
I don't know. What are you, a doctor now?
I'm just thinking that trying to look and see if we got winter sports tryout schedules for Kingston High School. Here we go.
What?
All right,
What is this?
here we go. See, I don't know.
What font is this? Jesus.
Look, this is what the school puts out. But for purposes of what we're looking at, we've got varsity swimming, okay? Bowling,
So these are all individual sports.
yeah. Bowling, alpine skiing,
Indoor track.
indoor track, gymnastics.
Yeah. No team sport. No team sports.
Is your
But
kid
how long
going to
you-
try
how-
out for any of these tomorrow?
No.
Tuesday,
I mean,
January
how long?
19th.
I mean, you're really not really doing much, right? I mean, how many meets are you going to have? How many games are you going to have? Right, because you start to come into spring sports season, right? You're not going to delay the spring sports season,
I hope not.
right? And I mean, it probably sounds because my kid plays a spring sport.
Are you about to say nobody cares about these sports? Because that would be very nice.
No, I'm just saying I don't want people to think that I don't want to delay in spring sports because my kid plays a spring sport and he doesn't play a winter sport.
I think it's fantastic that they're opening it up to these sports because you got to turn that valve, right?
This is kind of like the test.
Valve up a little bit and let kids, congregate and go to practice. And if they're on alpine skiing, they're outside, they're sharing a chairlift. I don't know, but
this is like the test.
I'm glad to see it that they're doing something. Spring is around the corner. There's been no basketball, right? There's been no wrestling.
Nope.
So those indoor sports didn't get
and
to
look,
play.
and here's a lesson for all the student athletes, right? You don't have practices. And you should have never relied on just your practice anyway to get better. Your school practice, right? Like I tell this to the girls in travel softball. Like if you're coming here for 2 hours on a Sunday, this can't be the only work that you do and expect to get better, right? The kids that are going to get better are the ones that are working on the side, hitting off a tee for hours, right? Hitting balls off a tee, throwing, working on drills, working on agility, going to the gym, right? Doing those things that make you get better, having that drive. You don't have practice, but you got to do something to keep going, right? Because the world keeps turning. Other kids are out there practicing it down south, right? They're playing all year round. They're putting in the effort, right? So you have to. Somebody's always going to be trying to take your lunch. And I talk about this at nauseum with youth sports when I coach, especially when we play. I love sometimes playing good teams and getting smoked because you point it out, right? I've watched teams up in I've made our team sit and watch the Colony team for Babe Ruth, right? Warm up. When we went out, the team from the Jersey Shore, South Shore, I think they were called. They actually won the entire Babe Ruth World Series. Watch them warm up. Watch them warm up compared to the way that you warm up. Watch them play the game. Watch the way they just throw the ball around in warm-ups. Watch the way they prepare. And then watch how they carry that onto the field. It's not a shock when they go through and they, win a lot of games. Right? And if kids are going to sit there and they're going to think that they're going to go play at the next level, well, that's out there. That's what's at the next level. So you have a decision to make. And this was kind of a speech that I gave after a game to a bunch of boys. Look, that's what's waiting for you outside of Kingston. That's what's waiting for you out there. And you had the same kind of experience, right, in lacrosse.
Well, I don't think there has not been any return to sports.
I'm just saying going to see another team.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm still fixated on the idea that we're waiting for the New York State government to approve of our high schools returning to high-risk sports as they designate them, and those high-risk sports include basketball, boys lacrosse, competitive cheerleading, football, ice hockey, volleyball, and wrestling. So baseball is not considered a high-risk sport, and so I pretty much think you can bet you're going to get to have you're going to get to watch your kid play this spring.
Yeah, I hope so.
I can't say the same for those other high-risk sports.
I hope so. I went off on a tangent a little bit there.
No, you said if you're not
But
playing.
my point is
we have
that
to keep practicing.
Yeah, like
kids have to keep practicing, even on their own.
Yes.
If they're not
Yes.
playing with the team, and I think kids are. I think they're finding ways to stay in shape. Hopefully,
you
it's
would
tougher
hope.
now.
You would hope.
It's really tough now, though, with nowhere being in the Northeast. Fortunately, it was like 45 degrees today, so kids could go outside. But it's not easy to find a place to play when there's snow on the ground and you're trying to stay in shape. And it gets expensive, and not everybody has the same resources to go and find indoor places to throw a baseball, to throw a lacrosse ball. So we're just hoping that come spring, these kids get to return. And listen, I would say that all these kids should go try out for indoor track if they're not doing anything. These start running stay in shape, find a place to stay in shape, go to the gym. I wonder if these local gyms provided any type of discount or opportunities for high school kids to come and join their gym if you're under the age of 18. Your son's what, 16?
Yes.
So your kid's 16 years old, and does he get to go join a gym?
Yes, we joined the gym so he can get some of the weightlifting and stuff done while they're not doing it at school, right? Because they couldn't. And we go and we do some workout stuff at home, and we improvise with what we have, and we throw. Right? We go outside in the cold and we throw. Right? So there's things you can do. There's things you can do to stay in shape. You can go for a run, or you can do push-ups. You can do sit-ups. There's things you can do to keep in shape. My point is that, you know, if you want to go above and beyond and you want to play at the next level outside of this area, there's a lot of competition out there. There's a lot of people just, you know, trying to steal your lunch. So you always have to keep going. I don't know what other way to end it.
It's been an hour.
Been an hour. Kenny, quick, I want to get, before we wrap up, Super Bowl. Who's going to win? Who's going to go to the Super Bowl? You got Kansas City against Buffalo.
Kansas City against Tampa.
You're going, wow. You think Tom Brady's going to go into Green Bay and beat the machine?
Yes.
Oh, baby.
I really do. They're on a roll. They're on a roll. He's not going to turn it over.
Give me my pen.
He has the weapons.
Let's see this. Hold on, Kenny.
Their defense is
Put
good,
this down here.
right? Their defense is good.
All right. Buffalo against KC. What's the score?
30-21.
30-21.
Kansas City.
Kansas City. Tampa Bay and Green Bay.
17-10. Tampa Bay.
You know it's gonna be 20 degrees and possible snow.
That's why I said 17-10.
Yeah. All right. We're gonna look at those next Monday.
That's right.
We're gonna wrap this up. I want to thank Kenny, the studio.
Thanks for letting me be here with you.
Yeah.
A lot of fun.
Check out
Get
the
some guests who know sports, will you?
Yes, we're gonna get some guests next week. I may do some things, put some things live on from my house.
That'd be awesome. Find a remote location.
That's
Let's
right.
go remote.
I'm gonna go remote
From
at
a bar, a safe tavern.
We
Somewhere
got,
that's safe.
got some things in the works for that.
That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, don't worry. I've been talking to some
You
people.
can social distance in the corner somewhere.
Yes, I've been talking to some people, and we're going to make that happen.
That'd be fun.
as soon as we get out from underneath this COVID. All right,
Peace.
that's it. See you.
Morning we dreamed so long. Anybody ever wonder when they would see the sun up? Just remember when it come up.